Yes, so I was just waiting for a couple of more guys to join in, but since we are already 11, let's start. Yeah, so good morning, everybody. My name is Sunny. I am the pre-sales engineer in Reddington Gulf, taking care of Veeam pre-sales. So uh, today's agenda, what we are talking about today is Veeam backup for Microsoft Office 365. Most of us are already aware about the Office 365 structure of Veeam, how it works, what are the benefits. So today specifically, we'll focus about the new capabilities in Veeam backup for Office 365, which has been released by Veeam. What are those new features? And couple of older technologies like why we need Microsoft Office 365 backup and all. So at any point of time, if you have any question, you can put it in a chat, and at the end of the session, I'll answer all those questions. So as far as today's agenda goes, just to give you a summary, the key takeaways would be how does Microsoft Teams adoption works in Veeam backup for Office 365. What are the key reasons why we need to protect Office 365 data protection? I know most of you are already aware of it, but let's do just to have a recap of it. Um, how does Microsoft Teams work? Especially in this pandemic situation when everybody had started using the online platform, Microsoft Teams becomes a popular app which is being used for the business communication. So how this adoption when it comes to the platform, how these things works when it comes to backup, what all things you see when it comes to backups, etc., etc. um, uh, what's new in V5? As everybody knows, that Team is the newest addition in Veeam product portfolio for backup Office 365. Other than that, what other capabilities Veeam had introduced in this newer version? Then we'll go with a brief demo just to give you an overview, a look and feel of the console, how it looks like, how to configure it, how you can see multiple restoration scenario, and we'll end the session with Q&A. Yeah. So let's start. So first thing first, right? Team is Microsoft fastest growing business app ever. Um, when this pandemic started, everybody had started adopting the digital platforms, and also after that we have seen a huge growth in the Microsoft Teams adoption. So there are approximately 258 million Office 365 users who had actively started using this app, out of which 115 millions are active users. So Microsoft had adopted almost 50% growth in the last 6 months for this Microsoft Team use. So Team is approximately used by 91% of the Fortune 100 companies. So if you see, if I talk about my company, we are also using, Microsoft Teams for my day-to-day communication. Similarly, there are most of the majority of the companies had started using this app. So now what happened with this, when everybody had starting using Teams, there is a requirement to keep retention, or to keep an IT policies for that Microsoft Teams app. So how do we do it? First of all, before we go into that, why do we need a backup? I know this is an old slide, but still we just need to have one recap of it. So Office 365 is a SaaS platform of Microsoft Office. And why do we need it? There are a couple of reasons which we have already highlighted before when we were positioning Office 365. Number one is the accidental deletion, retention policy confusion gap. If any internal security threats are there, any external security threats, which is your ransomware protection, etc., etc., from legal perspective, from compliance perspective, wherein you need to keep a data for longer term, and somewhere you want to manage the hybrid deployment or the migration. For that purpose also you require copy of your data. So these are the 6 old reasons why we would need Office 365 backup, and everybody is aware of these 6 reasons. But with the adoption of Teams, there is seventh reason also which has been come nowadays, why you need to back up your team data as well. Now people had started, organization had started their business communication via Teams, right? We do chatting, we do file transfers, we do lots of business communication via Teams. So what we think that this platform also needs to be protected. Now the question may come up, okay, Team is just an application coming from Office 365 tenant, and we as a Veeam is already taking the backup of entire Office 365 tenant. So in my coming slide, I'll explain you what new when it comes to Team has been introduced in Veeam Backup for Office 365. So the seventh reason also now we have came across, wherein Team is not a self-contained application. The data is scattered through Office 365 entire tenant, right, which needs to be protected. So how we do it, we'll talk about it now. From organization point of view, from a customer point of view, why do they need to protect Office 365? Right, what is the need of Office 365 protection? As we are already aware of these parameters, wherein accidental deletions are there, accidental deletion of your data. So almost 58% of the SaaS admin says that maybe accidentally we delete an data, and that's why we require an protection for that. And if you see, there is a small comparison between SaaS admin and backup admin, wherein the search has been wherein the poll has been created by this Veeam guys, and these are the number of statistics which came across, right? So these are couple of the bullet points which an organization need to see when it comes to protecting the SaaS environment or their on-premise environment. So number one is accidental deletion of your data. Nowadays, which is happening a lot, preparation against cybersecurity attacks, malicious users or other internal threats, better restoration capabilities, right? Exchange is huge. In Exchange, you have multiple mailboxes, you have multiple OneDrive, right? How you can search a single data, that is the most important part when it comes to granularity, restoration. For the compliance purposes, why you need to keep a copy of your data? Your auditors needs to see some business related data from your Office 365 database, so you have to be ready for it, right? So you need to provide those data as quickly as possible. Some internal policy for data retention. Every company has nowadays some retention policies. Some guys do it for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 years, 20 years, depends companies to companies. So every company has some data retention policies. Centralized or simplified restore capabilities. What customer require? Customer need a simple way of seeing their data. They want to see the data in simpler way. So we have something called Veeam Explorers, wherein we give you a GUI view for the restoration. To extend retention beyond built-in mechanism, Microsoft Office 365 by default gives you maximum 90 days of retention period with certain parameters, certain terms and conditions. So what you need a certain mechanism wherein the retention can be defined as per your requirement, not as per Microsoft says, right? So these are couple of bullet points which explains you, which tells you why you need a backup of Office 365 tenant, right? So I know that this is an old style, but it is important for a customer or for a partner to know why they need to protect their Office 365 data, right? So if you see the trend in the past year compared to 19 till 20, um, Office 365 adoption in the market had increased a lot. So there is a small comparison here wherein we have compared 2 years from 2019 till 2020. If you see the left most slide wherein the customer says that we use only the built-in Office 365 capabilities, that is recycle bin. So in 2019, 69% of the organization says that we don't need Office 365 backup. We will use the inbuilt capabilities, which is the recycle bin of Office 365 to restore any data. So which everybody knows that in Office 365 recycle bin, there is a limit when it comes to retention policies. But when it comes to 2020, that number drops to 47% because people are now understanding the requirement of keeping a copy of their business data. Because when we talk about Office 365, what exactly it is? It's your mailboxes, right? And when we talk about mailbox, it's your entire business communication which needs to be protected. So now people are getting more educated about it. What Office 365 recycle bin gives compared to a backup software. Now, when it comes to a third party backup software like us, Veeam Backup for Office 365. So in 2019, 27% of the users had adopted Veeam Backup for Office 365 or any third-party backup software to protect their Office 365 tenant. Whereas in 2020, that number gets increased to 45%, right? Now the people are understanding the requirement of backing up their Office 365 tenant. Now, still, compared to 19 and 20, the people who do not actively back up Office 365, there were 4% people who were saying that we don't back up, Microsoft takes care of sorry, everything. Now that number has increased in 2020 by 8%. Why this number has been increased? Because the number of Office 365 users has increased. So here you have an opportunity to sell or to for a partner perspective to sell Office 365 to our partners, to the customers. Sorry. Now, when it comes to the shared responsibility model of Microsoft Office 365 and and sorry, and your customer, if you see on the top, what is Microsoft responsibility? Microsoft clearly mentions this in the terms and condition when it comes to the infrastructure management, which is the uptime of the services, the SLA, which Microsoft guarantees. That is the responsibility of Microsoft. Microsoft will make sure that your Exchange service is available 24 by 7 or as per the SLA which Microsoft commits. What is your responsibility, right? Microsoft gives you a responsibility to for the uptime of the service, but when it comes to data, the data which is generated by that service, that is your responsibility, right? You need to take care of your data, you need to protect your data. That data consists of your mailboxes, your OneDrives, your online SharePoints, your Microsoft Team chats, etc, etc. Now, supporting technology, Microsoft will make sure that your data has been replicated across different data centers to make sure the uptime of your service is there. Microsoft gives you a flexibility of recycle bin, right? If by God forbid have you deleted some data from the mailboxes or by mistake it has been deleted, the data will be available in your recycle bin. But the catch is that is not forever. That is with certain retention policies. That is either 30 days or 60 days or 90 days as per your configuration. But it will not be forever. What is your responsibility? You need to make sure that your data is available as and when required. Office 365 is a SaaS based model wherein If you are utilizing the services of that platform, you are paying for it. If you don't want to utilize that service, you delete that license. That gets available for further use, but the data which is related with that user is not available in Office 365 after certain point of time. So for you, that user is important. That data should be available with you, I don't know, forever, or maybe as per your company retention policies. So that you have to define as a company how long you want to keep that data with you, right? So these are the two major differences. Now, security. When it comes to physical data center security, everybody is aware that Microsoft provides physical data center security, wherein end customer don't have to do anything. So what type of security does Microsoft provide? I am 100% sure this will be at the highest level of security when it comes to physical data center security. But when it comes to data security, right, which is the important part for you as an organization, that you need to protect. You need to make sure that your mailbox is protected from hackers. You need to make sure that your data is not being compromised by any other organization. So what you do multi-factor authentications, you do, ransomware protection softwares. There are lots of, things available. But the important thing for you, if any god forbid any attack happens on your organization on this, on your Office 365 tenant, the first and primost, factor which you need to consider in is to back up your data, to keep a copy of your data on another location. That is the simplest way of protecting your data. That's why backup softwares are built in, right? So 3-to-1 rule. So you need to have a copy of your business data in some other locations, right? So this is how you can protect your data. Then regulatory part, last but not the least, Microsoft has certain standards like HIPAA and all, which Microsoft honors it very well. But when it comes to role as a data owner, okay, Microsoft takes care of your data. Microsoft provides certain level of security. It is secured in Microsoft data center, but at the end of the day, the data belongs to you, right? You need to understand that it's your company data. So that data should be available with you as quickly and as easily as possible, right? So these are a couple of things which you need to understand as an organization, as an end customer. What do you want? So we have kind of given you a small overview when it comes to responsibilities, what Microsoft does and what you as an organization has to do. So that's the reason, this backup products are being built up. Now let's come on to the point, what exactly team does. How does teams work, right? Everybody is aware of the Teams application. I'm 100% sure most of you are already using it also. What exactly Team does? What is Team? Team is just an abstraction layer between three different components: your Exchange Online, your SharePoint Online, OneDrive for Business. And what it provides you a platform wherein you can share files, wherein you can generate files, wherein you can do a calling, chatting, etc., etc. Now this is how your Microsoft Teams work. It is built on the same Exchange database platform, right? Now what is the need of protecting that data? Let's see. When it comes to the database, you see all these three components. At the end of the day, it's an Exchange database, and we are already backing up your Exchange database. Now how we can see your teams, because teams becoming more popular, there is a requirement that you need to back up team, or you want to restore teams in a certain way or in an easier way. Now how we do it, what we do new in version 5, here you go. We back up your metadata, we back up your configuration of the Microsoft Teams, and we keep it in our backup repository, right? Everybody, I am 100% sure, is aware of the concept of backup repository. So what new we do? In version 5, we backups the team configuration, such as settings of Microsoft Teams, members, team structures, the groups, all those things we back up specifically for Microsoft Teams. When it comes to restoration, we gives you a new explorer which is called Veeam Explorer for Team, which gives you a more granular options to restore the chat, to restore Teams channel, to restore certain tabs. All those things with original permissions can be restored, right? We also provide you a restoration efficiency in the original location to restore all those things from Veeam Backup Office 365 console. As I mentioned in the beginning, that Office 365 Microsoft Team is sitting on Exchange database, and we were already doing the Exchange database backup. But how how more simplify we can do it, and how easily we can do it, this is how we can do it. So we are backing up metadata and configuration file, and with the introduction of new Veeam Explorer for Microsoft Teams, we can restore all those components which are mentioned in here. Now, what does Microsoft Teams support? Veeam Microsoft for Team has added purpose built backup and recovery for Microsoft Team, making it easier than ever for user to quickly find and restore team data, including entire teams, specific channels and setting. As I mentioned, what all things you get? You get full control and protection over Teams data. You don't have to worry. Your chats, your everything is 100% protected if you are using Veeam Backup for Office 365. Faster and easier recovery using Veeam Explorer for Microsoft Teams. In my short demo, I will show you the options, how it looks like. Important part, unmessed e-discovery. You can discover component using our e-discovery tab very easily. It gives you a flexibility of restore or to search certain data related with some conditions that I'll show you in my small demo. So this is what Veeam supports as a Microsoft Team backups. When it comes to full control and protection over Teams, thanks to Microsoft APIs, which has been provided by Microsoft to Veeam Team, with the help of which we are able to build this new integration between Microsoft Office 365. So we are able to now see Microsoft Team data when it comes to Veeam, to back up that data, and we are able to build a new Explorer to show you what has been backed up, to give you a GUI view, the same explorers which we have for other workloads, and it gives you more flexibilities, right? Backup of team objects, we, as I mentioned earlier, we can back up all those team objects, and we can store everything in the same way we are storing your Office 365 data, like in the backup repository. We can offload it to any of the public cloud storages, either Azure Blob, local, Amazon S3, IBM Cloud, managed service provider, right? So this has the same flexibility when it comes to storing the data. It's the same console, right? Faster and easier recovery. Veeam had, as I mentioned in the beginning also, it's not only team introduction, there are a couple of other things also which has been improved. So your e-discovery has been improved. The speed of the backup has been improved. The backup engine has been improved. Recovery and the granularity of the data has been improved. There are almost 40 different ways of restoring your Office 365 data when it comes to recovery of your data. I have one slide wherein all those 40 different ways of restoring the data is available. How you can restore your data in 40 different ways, right? When it comes to Office 365. Oh, here it comes. So this is these are the 40 different ways using Microsoft backup for Veeam Office 365. You can restore your data if it is online exchange. You see this slide, I love the most because it kind of explain everything about Veeam backup for Office 365 restoration. I can restore a single item of a mailbox. I can restore as an attachment. I can restore as an PST. I can restore on premise to mailbox or calendar, etc., etc., etc. When it comes to OneDrive, these are the number of scenarios for the restoration purpose you get. When it comes to SharePoint, these are the number of restoration scenarios you get. Now the addition which has been introduced in the newer version 5, this is the new Explorer at the bottom which says Microsoft Teams. So you see how many restoration scenarios you get when it comes to Explorers. I'll just give you a quick overview what is Explorers. In Veeam, we have GUI Explorers to restore your workloads, right? So for each workload, we have one separate explorer. It's called Veeam Explorer. So for Exchange, we have Veeam Explorer for Exchange. For OneDrive, we have Veeam Explorer for OneDrive. For SharePoint, it's Veeam Explorer for SharePoint. And this is the newest one which has been added, Veeam Explorer for Microsoft Teams. So if you see, if you have backed up using Microsoft, using Veeam VBO, these are the different scenarios which you get for the restoration purpose, right? This is the most interesting slide. Unmatched e-discovery. We have certain algorithms with the help of which we search your data from your Exchange database with certain conditions. So in my demo, I'll show you what does it mean. So the discovery of your data is much faster, so that you can recover your data as per your requirement, right? Uh, Seriously powerful scalability. 5 times you know 5 times higher it supports now the larger enterprises. There are more parallel streams which has been added when it comes to backing up Office 365 data. Parallel processing speed has been introduced. Digestive massive SharePoint online list has been improved when it comes to backing up your Office 365 tenants. So in simpler word, the backup engine has been more power generating. The speed of the backup of your Office 365 has been increased from Veeam perspective. So this is again a more powerful backup engine when it comes to Veeam. This is more or less the entire Veeam backup Office 365 scenario. So if you see on the left hand side, for Office 365 purpose, what do you have? You have Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, OneDrive for Business, and Microsoft Teams, which is sitting in Office 365, which needs to be protected. You have set up one server wherein you have installed Veeam backup for Office 365. Now that Veeam backup for Office 365 is just not a backup software for online Office 365. It can do hybrid also. If you have an hybrid environment wherein your Exchange is sitting on premise and your SharePoint is also sitting on premise, Veeam backup for Office 365 can take a backup of hybrid environment also. Now when it comes to storage, right, you can offload the entire data onto the public cloud storages available, right? This is already available from quite a long time. Now if it is on premise, you can do it on a local storage also, or if you have any other public cloud vendor which gives you a flexibility of S3 type storage available, that also can be availed when it comes to backup repository. So this is how you can protect your environment. This is how Veeam protects your Office 365 or hybrid environment in a simpler way. When it comes to recovery, These are the recovery options which you get in Veeam Backup for Office 365. You get 4 different type of Veeam Explorers, which gives you a GUI view of restoring your different workloads. Right now, let's quickly go to demo time. Let me share my screen once again. Just a minute. Uh, just a minute, guys. Yeah, here you go. So I have quickly opened up Veeam Backup Office 365 console. This is how it looks like. I'll just give you a brief overview what all components are there and what is the newer component which has been introduced in it. So it's a very simple tool, almost I guess 48 to 50 MB of software, which can be installed in any Windows platform. Then it is very easy to configure also. It's a multi-tenant tool. If you have multiple tenants of Office 365, that can be protected using this. So in my demo, you can see I have added 2 organization. First thing first, just to give you a broader overview when it comes to general options. These are a couple of options which you get. What do you want to back up when it comes to mailboxes? These are the things which are being mentioned. So as per your company policy, you can define whatever you want to do. Some RESTful APIs. This is very important, tab which has been provided by Veeam. Some APIs, if you want to integrate for further dashboarding and all, that can be done. It's an additional thing which has been provided. Your SMTP notification or email notification, the general things which comes along with a backup software. The authentication of if you are using any SSL certificates or something like that, that authentication can be defined in here. Right now, these are your general settings, and that's it. You don't have much to configure in it. Now the important part, how to add an organization. Very simple. This is how you see the console looks like. Go to add organization. Let me do one thing. Let me edit one of it. So I have already added one organization, so I'll show you what all options are there. So once you click on add organization, these are the 3 things which you receive. You see the new option called Microsoft Teams. If you want to back up, click onto it. And also you see there are hybrid option also. Right, so if you are using hybrid, you can add hybrid also. Click on next. Which authentication you are using. If you are using multi-factor authentication, choose multi-factor. There are additional steps which needs to be performed on your Office 365 tenant. You need to allow Veeam Backup for Office 365 to read and write data. For that, there is a complete set of instruction which is available on Veeam Help Center portal that you need to perform on your Office 365 tenant. When it comes to basic authentication, there are very less users who are using basic authentication. Just for the easier purpose, I use basic authentication. Choose the region default. These are the things which you get. I'm sure you will always be in default. Next, put your username and password. That's all. Once you do this, click on next. That's it. You will see that organization has been added here like this. And once the organization has been added, it means I'm able to see your Office 365 tenant for read and write purpose, means for backup and restoration purpose. So once the organization has been added, there is another component which needs to be configured from your side, is the same backup proxy and backup repository. The guys who are already aware of Veeam concept, we have a concept called backup proxy. Backup proxy is the heart and soul of the backup software which processes your data. So this can be sitting on the same server, or it can be sitting onto a multiple server. By default, when you install this software, local backup repository has been installed on the same software. I'll just show you the couple of options. This works on 9193 port. Same local account authentication. If you have some other authentication, you can provide. That's it. So this is how it looks like. Now the important part is where you are storing your data, called backup repository. Backup repository can be a local backup repository or can be a mix and match of public cloud repository, right? So if you see on the top, you click on add repository. name your repository, click on next. Where do you want to keep your data? So that can be a volume of an operating system, C drive, D drive, E drive, whatever it is, that is your local storage, right? Once you do this, after that, once your backup local repository is being defined wherein you are writing the data, you can add, you see another tab is there called object storage repositories. That object storage repository is your public cloud storage repositories. So if I click on the top left, add object storage, right, you see here you are defining an cloud storage. So cloud storage, you get four options, either S3 compatible, either Amazon S3, Azure Blob, or IBM Cloud Object Storage. So depends on your choice of public cloud storage. You can choose any one of them, click on next. You see you don't have to provide any username and pass, you don't have to create any SSL VPN with public cloud storage vendors. Veeam will take care of it automatically. You just need to provide the account and shared key of the respective cloud vendor. So in my case, I have chosen Azure Blob. So there is only already one key which has been defined. Click on next. So it will add your Azure Blob or any cloud storage like this. So right now you can see it says invalid because my authentication has been expired. But this is how it will look like when it comes to adding a blob storage, right? So once the blob storage has been added, after that you can create something called a combination of both, right? We call it scale out backup repository, wherein you can offload that data to public cloud vendors. So I have already created one, but let me show you the options. So first you are defining your on-premise backup repository. So first your data is coming on on-premise backup repository, then second it offloads onto any of the public cloud storage vendors which are available on the list. Along with it, you can also do encryption if you want, right? So these are the options which you get when it comes to configuring your backup repository. Now, important part, how do you do a backup? So I have already taken a backup of one of the mailbox. So if you see, let me click on edit and I'll show you what all options you get when you want to backup an Office 365 tenant. So you get two options, backup entire organization. If you choose this, we'll backup everything. We'll backup OneDrive, Mailbox, Teams, online SharePoint associated with it, everything will be done. But what I did, I have chosen backup the following objects. So if you click on add, you see certain options are there, and this is what is new, Microsoft Teams, right? So in this case, it's a mailbox backup. I have chosen one. If you click onto this, you can further go granular. What do you want to backup for this user? Only mailbox, archive, OneDrive site, or everything. So in my case, I have only taken mailbox backup. Go to next. If you want to do any exclusions, that is also possible. Go to next. Where do you want to backup? I choose a default repository, or if you want to choose a scale out backup repository, that is also possible, right? Which backup proxy is there? So in my case, I have only one, so it uses that one. You can define the schedule here. So once you do this, you can see the mailbox will look like this. This is the job for the mailbox backup. So since I have already run this job, I'll show you the restoration options which you get. So if you right click on this, you can see explore latest exchange state or explore point in time. So if you click on point in time, whatever number of restore points are available, you can choose it from this list. Click on this, you can choose which, how many restore points are there. So in my case, I have only one restore points, so that's why you can see only one timestamp is there. But if you have multiple restore points, you can see multiple timestamps here. And also you can click on this option, show items that have been deleted by a user. It will show you all the items and show all the versions as well. So let's click on finish. Let's see what it does. See what it does. It opens up a new window called Microsoft Exchange Explorer for Veeam, and it looks like this. Again, it's a GUI view. You see this is my Exchange database. So in that Exchange database, I have taken the backup of one mailbox. This is my one mailbox name. And if I browse that mailbox, you can see a complete GUI view is available. So I can click on my inbox. I can see what is there. You can see. I can see my even a single mail also. And if I right click onto it, you see how many restoration scenarios I get. You remember the 40 restoration scenario slide? So I can restore a single email box onto the same mailbox. I can restore to any other location. I can export as a PST file. I can save it to a desktop. I can save it as a message file. I can send it as an email attachment. I can compare item properties. See, these are the different options for a single email restoration you get, right? If you want to restore the entire mailbox, come here and see, these are the options you get. Restore to the original location or restore to somewhere else onto a different location. These are the different options you get when it comes to restoring mailbox data. Now we were also talking about e-discoveries and all. So in my case, I have only one mailbox, but in your case, you will have multiple mailboxes. And maybe, the requirement may come up that you want to search a single email, right, which you are not aware, or maybe that user had left the company and your auditor had told you to search a specific email with some subject or in some specific mailboxes. So how you can do it? uh, Choose your exchange database, which is your parent database, which has all the data. You see one tab is called advanced find. Once you click on advanced find, you get multiple conditions, multiple ways of restoring your data. See, what do you want to restore? This is the condition. Is exactly like this, or it starts with this. Up depends on your requirement. Contains, let's say it contains some test data, wherein you define it like this. Okay, where do you want to see the data? All appointments. These are the different fields which you get. These are the assistant name, right? CC, BCC, if you want to see it in certain mailboxes. This is how you can search. Click on add to list. Here you see, click on start, it will show you the result. So in my case, I don't have anything which is related with test, so that's why it is not showing. But in your case, if you want to see it with certain certain conditions, there are multiple ways. You can see there are lots of conditions which are available. So with this, you can search for a data, you can search for a single email. So this is how it is, it can be done. So this is about your exchange mailbox. Now let's quickly come about team mailboxes. So how your teams work? So I have created one job which is like same, backing up your Microsoft Exchange. So let's name it same. How do you add it? I have added the team one. This is how it looks like. So once you choose teams, it's an entire team database. Click on next. Where do you want to back it up? Onto the backup repository. So once you do a backup of teams, this is how it looks like, right? So once the backup has been done, after that, same, we want to restore some data from teams, how it looks like. So this is just a demo wherein I wanted to show you what all options you see as a restoration part. So let this come up. You can see something is mentioned on the top called Veeam Explorer for Microsoft Teams. This is a newer edition. So once it has been done, you can see the entire database of Teams is provided here. So in my case, this is just a demo site. So that's why you can see only posts and files are there. But if you have created certain groups, if you have created certain team structure in my backup, in that Teams backup, it will be visible like this. So if you want to restore something which is available in post, that can be restored it from here. You can see, if I right click onto it, restore post, export post, save post, send post, all the options which you have seen in Microsoft Exchange Explorer, same type of options are available here also, and same advanced find is available here also. if you want to search for some specific data and you want to restore some specific files or some specific conversation, that is also possible, right? So this is the newest addition in Veeam, with the help of which you see Microsoft Teams data backup as well as the restoration scenarios of Microsoft Teams. So this is how it looks like. You guys can try it in your environment and you can see how it works. Let me quickly come back to my presentation. So from demo perspective, I have just given you a brief overview how it looks like. What's next? So let's see what our customer says. These are a couple of customer quotes which has been provided by them. Get Veeam backup for Office 365. Your boss will love you. Man, it's so easy to configure, so easy to manage that you don't need to be have some special special competencies to configure it or to manage it. Office 365 backup from Veeam, simple and flexible. Yes, as Veeam says, we are very simple, we are very flexible. It's very easy to configure. Veeam is a solid and well-built backup solution for organization of all sizes. That's correct. Don't think you need to back up your Office 365 mailboxes. Think again. Right. So, what are our key takeaways? That you need to protect your Office 365 data if you want to be compliant, if you want to have your data on your hand. You need to keep a copy of your data protected somewhere in your environment. These are a couple of books which are available, which you guys can read. This is the direct link. Why do you want to back up Microsoft Teams, right? So console I have already shown you. This is how it looks like. Given you a brief demo, this is how it looks like. Free 30 days trial is available on veeam.com, which is free of cost. You can download it from your company's portfolio and see it in your environment, running it, how it looks like. If you want my if you want to have a deep detailed technical demo, or if you want to see it in our environment, we can show you. You can give me a message or you can give me an email, we can schedule that. Let's see if we have any question answers on the chat. Let me see if we have anything. Let me just unshare it, see if we have any questions in the chat. Guys, if you have any questions in the chat, you guys can ask me. We are almost finished with the session. If anybody has any question, I'll wait for a minute or so.
Thank you for attending. This is the end of the session. Thank you.